break it on down like a hoop to you. In translation, bridge the gap. Communication so real, no cap. A different language for woman and man. Decode the language and you'll understand. Nah, it'll help you out. Rest assured, women have no doubt. Pillow talk, dinner talk. Give you the info to walk the walk. Now, sometimes it's a foreign language. Now know what's up. Don't mistake it. This'll help you every situation. Empower yourself. It's liberating, yeah. Communication, don't need no speculation. Just get that clarification, then reconciliation. Man translation, yeah. Man translation, yeah.
Welcome. What's going on, y'all? Welcome to Man Translation. I am Sky C, and this is Dante B, our resident relationship and communication strategist. Today, we're going to be talking about the ride or die chick. Are you willing to die for it? Are you willing to die? Are you willing to die? We call communication between men and women, bridging the gap, because, honey, the gap seems to be getting a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think
we gotta do something about that.
Yeah, I think people, I just don't understand how you think that somebody is going to agree. I think people are mistaking agreement with perception.
You gotta go a little deeper on that one.
Everybody's perception is not going to be the same.
Well, no, it's not. That's why you have to have the conversation. So I know what you're saying and I understand where you're coming from. And I can make the determination of whether or not I want to go with that because I agree with you, or I should just walk off.
So there's a process to get to a place of agreement. There's a process. So there is you know how you see things, how I see things. Then there's understanding, and maybe we might agree, and maybe we may not agree. So we're talking about on this show communication, decoding, because women don't understand that when men speak. And I just was talking to a guy yesterday. I was talking to a bunch of men yesterday. I'm gonna have to put some equipment in the car and take it with me because nobody is a stranger. I talk to everybody. So I had these really awesome conversations with some guys yesterday, and they were saying like, yeah. And a lot of men are really frustrated because they're talking and women don't understand what it is that they're talking about.
That's easy. And that's, again, because a lot of times I will say, and I'm probably going to get bashed for this, when you're talking to a woman, a lot of times they're waiting to jump in to respond. Whereas some men, they just want to vent. I don't need you to fix anything on. I just got to get this off my chest. But also with that being said, I have to say the man has to come off and say that, hey, listen, I don't really want any advice. I just need someone to talk to. And then you go from there. So, yeah, it is frustrating what I'm saying. You know, I'm talking about, the job and what's going on after work and so on and so forth. And now you chime in and it's like, well, you should do this and you should do that. But one thing you should not tell a man to do is what he should do, because he's probably not going to do it.
I think because a lot of relationships are, and we talked about this, a lot of relationships are not really man and woman. They're really like mother and son. They're not really the way that they're interacting. When I'm telling you should do this and you should do that, that's like if I was talking to my son. Well, I'm not talking to my son. I'm talking to, the person who's supposed to be my man, who has a mind of his own. And, he should be able to come to me and to talk to me. And I'm supposed to listen, because that's what men do. You could talk to a man, ask him a question on Monday, and here he come Wednesday giving you an answer. You'd be like, I asked you that on Monday. Because, see, men, they think about it. They analyze it, they process it, they flip it over. Plus, they don't want to get a wrong answer because they don't want no argument and they don't want no.
That's it. Because that's the worst thing you can ever come back and do. Well, you said, damn, I did say that. Now you said this and I did that, and then this is why I don't talk to you in the first place. It's like, there's no need, no call.
So they take their time and give you an answer.
Yes.
You're like, I asked you that Monday. It's Friday. You know, the whole week. It took you a whole week.
Whole week.
But I
Whole
think
week.
that's not a bad thing. Women need to know that. They need to know that men are processors, that they're going to process the information that you give them. They're
Right.
not going to
No,
give
for sure.
you an answer right off the top of they're just not going to do that. They're just going to sit there. They're going to listen to you, and
Mhm.
because men are, and this is my experiences with men. Men are problem solvers. So if you take them an issue, they're gonna try to come up with a solution.
Yeah, and that's mainly the issue with some men because again, we like to fix things. You tell me you're hungry, get dressed, we're about to leave, or let me go downstairs and make something. What do you want? Whereas though you could just be the same thing. You could just be just expressing the thought, but you have to do the same thing. Hey, I got something on my chest. I need to let this off, so we don't go off and be like, all right, yeah, because I'm horrible. I'll listen. You tell me something wrong, we fixing it. I don't give a damn what it is. I don't need you to fix it. I'm just, just throwing it out there, possibly for conversation or whatever. Oh, all right.
Well, that's why we have this show to decode and get this communication thing right. Whether it be with your because one of the shows I want to do is I want us to talk about when you have a male child who has a female teacher, because that dynamic also, a lot of our children are being labeled as ADD, ADHD, and having all these issues because they're not paying attention. And it could just be that they have a teacher of the opposite sex, and the communication, because we're wired differently, they're just not understanding, especially
Or
boys.
you just, I know, I mean, I was gonna say that. You just can't relate to certain things. So it's like you a woman could be talking. I've had women teachers before, and not even to sound misogynistic or whatever. What are you talking about? You've completely lost me at this point. Listen. Can we go to recess, lunch, home,
And a lot of
something?
times, and sometimes these children are geniuses. Is the reason why, when you read the story of Einstein and all these people that's labeled geniuses, they didn't do very well in the traditional school setting because their mind was totally on a whole nother level, and you
Mm-hmm.
teach them some elementary things, and they're bored, and that's a risk that you run with boys. You
Yeah,
know,
I mean, not to mention the learning process is different, which is part of the reason why I kind of like the pandemic when it happened. Like when it first started out, and some of the kids got a chance to work, like can't say work, but go to school from home, like because the learning environment at this point is different. And you had some kids who normally that wasn't thriving in a school setting. Now they're home, and it's like, okay, cool, this is better, rather than
I don't think that was the case for. I don't think so, because it takes. You know what? Before online school was popular, I got my
uh-huh,
degree online in 2000, and I think I started going. I think I got my associates in like I went back to school in like 2007, and I
uh-huh,
went online. So it wasn't very popular at the time when I was going to school, and people will always ask me like, "How do you do online?" For me, it was convenient because I work full time. I had worked full time. I was a full time mother. I was a full time everything. So working on, doing my classes online was just convenient for me. But a
right,
lot of people are not disciplined enough to do online, to do online classes. And a lot of parents was having trouble. They didn't know how to log in, and the children were frustrated because it seemed like because it happened so quick, nobody was really prepared for,
uh-huh.
how to really structure the online learning. And so they were giving children like exuberant amounts of work to do it wasn't even possible for them to do. And a lot of children were failing, and parents were really frustrated because they were like, you're giving them all this work to do just because they're home. Because people think, oh, because you're home, then you can just pile the work up. And that's what a lot of teachers do too. A lot of professors do that.
No.
Like, you're home,
Uh-uh.
I have other classes besides you. Thank you. You're not my only
Right.
client.
Yeah, you know, no. Even when I'm working from home, the same thing I'm doing at work, same thing I'm gonna be doing here. If you need me to do a little log or whatever, okay, yeah, all right, fine. But you know, I'm just because I'm home and you
People
know,
ain't
I'm
doing no work at work. They barely doing any work at home. Ain't nobody answering phone. People losing their mind. They ain't getting up. People ain't getting their IRS checks. People having a fit. IRS ain't answering their phone. The tax advocacy people ain't answering their phone. H&R Block, Hewitt, TurboTax, and the list goes on. People having a whole can't get any answers. Nothing. People just still ain't got their taxes from last year. It's still waiting for those taxes. Child, it's a mess. It is a mess. I'm telling you, it is not. This online stuff is not for everybody. It is not as easy for everybody.
but for the people that it's for, I think it was a you know, it was beneficial for them because again, I know for me, even when I was taking college courses, it's like, all right, can you just send me an email where I need to log into so I can go home? But you talking like the dude from the Red Eyes commercial, hey, I gotta
A
go.
lot
Can
of
I test out?
parents and children. You know, it's like the worst thing you can have is a parent who cannot teach their child something.
Mm,
And the child crying and mama
mm.
popping them upside the head because they not getting it. I remember I could not get when I was in the fourth grade, I could not get long division. I don't know what I could get. I could do short division, but that long division was kicking my butt. I used to cry so bad. I used to cry so bad.
I don't even know what long division is. I just know division.
Well, you got long division where you got, you start out with one number divided into like two numbers, then you got two numbers divided into three numbers. So the numbers on the side get longer and the numbers inside get longer. That's long. Dante, anyway, we're not talking
I
about
just listen. My issue. Okay, so my issue with before we completely digress, my issue with math class is I can look at the problem, I can tell you the answer, and then when I do my work, it's not what it was supposed to be. So it's like, yeah, the answer's right, but how did you get there? This is the answer. So just
well, with
you
math,
know,
it's more than one way to get there. So that's the thing. You can
yeah,
get
that's why I
it's
always
probably
got in
two or
trouble.
three ways to get there. But tonight we're going to be talking about the ride or die chick. Unfortunately, y'all know my story. And I'm really concerned about it. I'm concerned about anytime somebody glamorizes a phrase. I'm always concerned about that because um, it's not always a good thing. Most of the time in our community, it's not a good thing. It's really a
No,
bad thing. It's really a
uh,
bad thing. And they glamorize it. They have songs about the ride or die chick. Jay-Z and Beyonce, they personify the Bonnie and Clyde ride or die chick. And so once you get to the level that it's influencing and impacting our community, that's when I really get concerned about it. Because I haven't seen any positivity come out of being a ride or die chick.
no, because there's a lot that goes into it. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. A lot of people on Facebook or Instagram, it's that whole highlight reel, especially when you're a couple. You show the good times. This my ride or die. She 10 toes down or wherever the case may be. But it's like, what's going on behind the scenes? Because once one, if someone's asking for a ride or die or is advertising that, that's just one thing you got to watch out for because you don't know what you're going to have to do to get there. It's almost like a game. You got to get jumped in, and you don't know how many people on the other side of that door are trying to jump you in, whatever the case may be. Um, but when it comes to this, just I would do anything for you. You about to get taken advantage of, and you don't know in which way. In the beginning, yes, everything will be nice, fine, sweet, whatever the case is. Then as you go on, further on, it's like you begin to lose yourself because you made an agreement with this person to be their ride or die, but it's not the same thing in reverse.
Yeah. And I think that's the part that women don't get, that the ride or die chick is a one-sided thing. She's doing
Yes.
all the sacrificing, and if need be, she's going to be the one that, and I know people that have lost their life. I know people that have lost their life. So I looked up some statistics. 55% boyfriend, girlfriend end in death. 12% is because of jealousy. 54% of these ride or die relationships end because of somebody the man shoots the woman or shoots the woman, the children, and then turns the gun on himself. The number one reason is misogyny, is the hatred of women. And it's not something that we really talk about, the root of this and where does this come from. How do you have a relationship with someone? How do you profess yourself to be a ride or die to someone who secretly hates you in the relationship and you don't really know it? Because like you said, when you say ride or die, the man is understanding it one way and the woman is understanding it a different way. In the man's perspective, you're just saying, I could run all over you. I could do whatever I want to do to you. You're not going anywhere. You're not going to leave me. And that's basically the signaling that you're giving him, that you could do to me whatever you want to do to me. I'm not going anywhere. And I find that to be dangerous.
No, it's very dangerous. And speaking of dangerous, I've known a couple of cases that have happened where, as though, the guy has priors, and if he get caught one more time, that third strike, he's out. So the woman would take the charge or take the blame or whatever the case may be, because she'll get off, or she'll just get let off with probation and so on and so forth. And then later on down the line, you're not even together, but now you got a record.
Right. Well, that's what happened with Lil' Kim. Lil' Kim took the fall. She perjured herself. I don't know if you remember the story, but she perjured herself. She perjured herself, and she ended up doing a year and a day for her manager, because I think it was, I don't remember all the details, but I think it was like some type of shootout or something. And she got on the stand and she lied. And that's that's the thing. Lil' Kim is considered the personification of a ride or die chick. And so you have these African American women, these Black women, in these toxic relationships, like you said, taking the fall. They're taking the fall, going to jail, taking the bids, for these men. And like, once she got to jail, what did it get her? What did they do for her?
Nothing. You just took the rap. That's it.
And see, this is the double entendre when you're dealing with men, with a man's perspective. You're telling him, you're sending him a signal that he can run all over you, but at the same time, he's gonna lose respect for you.
Yeah, so because it's like, oh, she'll do anything for me. Anything I ask her to do, she's gonna do it. So you basically on payroll at that point, and then the moment something happens, you get caught, you say no, you get dismissed.
And he gonna make you do anything. Growing up, you had the drug dealers' girlfriends, you had the gang members' girlfriends, and the worst ones was the gang members, because the gang members, if you was a girlfriend of a gang member, you had to sleep with him and all his friends. You had to steal. Back in the day, we called it boosting. We ain't really call it stealing. Stealing is if you go to the store and take a candy bar. Boosting is when you go and you take high price. You go get high price stuff. You go to the top stores and you boost real stuff that you can sell. So most of the girls didn't want to be the girlfriend of a gang member, because he gonna make you sleep with all his friends.
I mean, no doubt. That from jump, nah. Because who am I with? Am I with you, or I'm with everybody now? No, you already created the issue. You already created the problem.
The drug dealers, their girlfriends wasn't no better, because they had to be smuggling. They had to come, if they got caught and went to jail, you had to put money on the books. You had to go see them. Growing up, you would see all these women that didn't have no money, was on, assistance, but they would put their money together and all go up and see their boyfriends in jail, put money on their books and all of this stuff, because if not, ain't no telling what's going to happen to you. And then you got to risk your life again trying to sometimes smuggle drugs in jail and other things, and body parts. All of this is part of the ride or die chick behind the scenes that you don't really see, you don't really
The
know.
fine print in the contract.
Yeah, and how how they have the abuse, the level of abuse of it. When they say misogyny is the number one reason, like to see a man literally punch a woman like she's another man, and kick her and stomp her and drag her, and she take it and get up and be like proud because look what he did to me. Look at my busted lip. Look at my black eye. Look, because that nigga loved me. This is what we're dealing with in our communities. This is the example that we're leaving and setting in our communities. The ride or die chick.
No, no. Ma'am, you are taking abuse for no reason. Get out. But then again, it's hard for them to get out because they, you might ride or die, or it's me and you against the world. Once you have that mentality, they start taking you away from your family, away from your friends that can talk sense into you, away from the people who actually are going to do you good rather than harm, because they see his mentality from a mile away. And they're going to take you from now. You're going to be with them or you're going to be with me. They can't do the things I do. Yada, yada, yada.
Because it's their definition of loyalty and commitment. So that's the thing. The ride or die chick is synonymous with loyalty and commitment. So loyalty to what? Loyalty to what? The disrespect? Loyalty, like what am I being loyal to? You know what I'm saying? And so how do we have a conversation with a woman who's being brutalized year after year after year and say to her, this is not loyalty, your because what's dying?
Her.
Exactly. She's
Whether it be
dying.
physically,
Right.
internally, emotionally, spiritually, you're being broken in more ways than one.
Yes. She's dying.
So how does one get them? I mean, something has to happen for them to realize that. And you also have to let them know, hey, if you need an out, this is it. Come this way. But this isn't what it is. Because in their mind, their definition of loyalty is anything he throws out there, whether it's me or a punch or whatever, I have to take that because I'm going to be loyal to him. It's like that's not the definition of loyalty. Insanity, in some cases, stupidity, but not loyalty. That's his definition, and that's what he forced upon you. So we got to change the narrative and change the definition of what that is, and then get you to realize this isn't it. Because if your child gets older, you're gonna tell them that this is okay. If this was happening to your mother, grandmother, auntie, cousin, whoever, is this okay? Is this all right? No, you want to get them out of there.
But too, I think that's the example that was given because the generation before, Big Mama, she stayed in that relationship. She stayed with the husband, with the family around the corner. They stayed, and so you're growing up thinking that this is what you do. So a
No,
lot of these are learned behaviors.
that narrative has to be changed. I get that, Big Mama stayed around and Grandpa and was a Rolling Stone and whatever the case may be, but times changed. But also, the man was the breadwinner, the woman just stayed at home. So it's like, where was she going to go? This generation is different. Women are they got businesses, they're successful. You can leave. You're just choosing to be there for whatever reason. We got to figure out why you're choosing to be there so we can get you out.
But for every woman that, it's still other things that's like really, really going on. A lot of people, they got businesses, but they're not dealing with their issues. So whatever they're doing is going to be short lived. But that's a whole nother show. So I just really want to really just address and kind of put the nail on the head about thinking that this is just like Taraji P was saying that black women have to get away from this being strong, because it just gives everybody a license to just dump on us because we're strong and we can take it. So that means you can just continue to dump
Uh-uh,
and dump and dump
uh-uh,
and dump.
uh-uh. No, if you're strong, then you're strong. If you're independent, then you're independent. Why change the narrative just because it doesn't, because it scares someone off? If you're offended, then you need not be here. Find someone who's in your bracket that you can deal with. I don't want no weak, dependent woman. I want her to be strong. I want her to be independent. I want her to have her own identity. I want her to be her when I'm not around and not be a chameleon to where it's hey, she's one way over here, but then she's completely different, when we get together. Like you walking on eggshells. No, we don't
But
need
you
that.
dealing you dealing with broken men. We're dealing in a society of men that's being raised by women. A woman can't teach a little boy how to grow up to be a man. So we're not even dealing with. So he doesn't even have an example anywhere, of what a man's supposed to be and what a man's supposed to look like. And his mother can't teach him that. As much as women will tell their sons, "I'm your mother and your father," a woman can't teach a little boy how to grow up to be a man.
Okay.
So there's no example of that anywhere in society. The black family is becoming extinct and non-existent. Yesterday I was talking to a whole family. Like, it was beautiful. It was the mother, the son. It's a detailing company they have. We took the car to get detailed, and it's the whole family. The uncle was there, cousins, the husband, the wife, their son, his wife, their children, everybody. And see, that's what legacy is. Everybody's
Well,
talking about legacy and generational wealth, but your children, you're not teaching your children anything about business. They don't know anything about business. And there's a difference between entrepreneurship and business. They're two
mhm.
totally different things. They're not even the same. Entrepreneurship is a part of business, but it's a lot of people that are entrepreneurs but know nothing about business. And we were
Mhm.
talking about that yesterday. That's why I wish I would have had my equipment so I could, tape the interview, because it was really good. And it's the same thing like with the family. There's no examples. We need more examples of, strong black families, because generational wealth is about procreation. It's also
Right.
about procreation, about having children, raising them, a certain way, and, in a healthy way. And then, first and foremost, that's the legacy is really what the generational wealth is. But we're not leaving a legacy. No legacy is being, and if you can't leave a legacy, there is no generational wealth. You know what I'm saying?
No, because no, I get it because it's like if you had like they had the detailing shop. It's probably a couple of them that's like, hey, I don't want to wash cars. And nowadays it's like, hey, I don't want to do this. I want to do my own thing. But it's
Yeah,
like, hey, if you start here,
right.
build into it. Eventually, we're gonna get to what you want to do, but we
What you
gotta
want to
get this
do?
off the ground first.
We don't see
But
that. We don't see
but
that.
no, I know I've had these conversations before, and it's like, well,
We
I
don't
don't want
see
to do
that.
this, and I'm not good at this. It's like there, like because I've been, and I'm pretty sure you have too, been into a Chinese store, and you got the kids, like they're in like middle school, elementary school, at the register, doing
Because they
hard in the
learning
back at the
they
register.
learning the business. They're learning in the
Right,
business. They're
right.
learning
So it's like
the business.
no, it's right. So they get them started. They're in there. Okay, cool. They might go off to college or whatever. They come back, pour into, and they might still have their own thing going, but they putting dedication into that. business.
Because
What else they going
legacy,
on?
because you have to build legacy. You keep talking about the wealth part, the generational wealth, but you're not building legacy. And
Right.
and see, it all ties into your distorted definition of loyalty. If you think loyalty is to be a ride or die chick, you see how it all plays in. It's not like you're gonna. It's how you do one thing, it's how you do everything. So if you over here in your relationship thinking that loyalty is taking crap from somebody, you're not going to understand loyalty as far as business is concerned. You know, because you're not going to your perception and the definition is twisted, is warped. It's warped. You think that somebody got to throw dirt on your face and make you feel less than who you are, that's being loyal. And then when it's time for you to really be loyal, it's not going to feel right. It's not going.
No, it's not.
You're going to be like, this not how this goes. This don't go this way.
And also, before we get off the topic of loyalty is not defined by the length of time you've known someone. Does it help? Yes. But just because you've known someone since day one and they're quote unquote your day one, it's a lot of people out here who had day ones and got killed by that day one because they felt as though they know that person. So loyalty is not tied to time just because you quote unquote think you know someone.
Right. So I pulled up some of the stories that's been in the news, and the thing that really surprised me is that how young these women are. And we just want to mention their name because we want to not let their dying be in vain. This young girl is 22 years old. Her name is Tyra Poirier, and she went to Johns University. She was a college student, and she was shot in the face, point blank, by a man who she rejected after he began dancing on her, and she didn't want to dance with him, and he shot her, 22 years old, in the face. Janice Jackson, 29-year-old Pittsburgh woman, was fatally shot in a local bar because she rejected sexual advances. The number one reason is misogyny. It's misogyny. We have raised a generation of men, boys that hate women. If you hate women, the only thing left is men. And the list goes on. Sharice Adams, 24-year-old North Carolina college student who was murdered while 8 months pregnant. 8 months pregnant.
Hold on for a minute. Go back. Spell the first girl's name. You said Tyra.
She spelled it Tiarah. Poyau. Poyau. Sharice Adams, 24, pregnant, college student. Her boyfriend, y'all heard about it, NFL star Ray Caruth. You heard that story.
Oh, yeah.
He hired a hitman to kill her because she didn't want to abort the baby. But yet she was with him in his career. These are some of these stories are ride or die women who've been in the relationship, and a lot of them, you know, I don't know what happens to people when they get pregnant, but some people lose their mind. Jessica Hampton, 25-year-old mother of one, fatally stabbed by her boyfriend while riding the subway. They had a domestic situation and it turned violent. Mary Spears, 27, she was shot because she wouldn't give somebody her phone number. Number one reason, you cannot be in a ride or die. First of all, when your words have power, and when you say I'm a ride or die chick, you are really putting speaking death over your own life. You are speaking death, right? Mary Spears. Dante, what is this you got on your head? What is wrong with you, Dante? What is this?
Focus. Gotta focus.
What is this hat, Dante? You are speaking. You are speaking death. You're literally speaking death over your own life. You're speaking death over your own life, and it's like you should not be making a death vow, because that's what you're doing. You're making a vow. You're coming into an agreement with someone about your life, that's not even your husband. When you get
Nope.
married, it's till death do you part. That's a death covenant. You're making a vow that I'm going to stay with you until death do you part. When you're boyfriend and girlfriend, this is your boyfriend. You should not be making death vows. You should not be cutting death covenants with people when
They
you're
ain't
that
taught that.
you're married to.
They are not taught that. What was the name before that one?
Um,
Before Mary?
before Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was Sharika. Oh, Janice Jackson, 29-year-old, Pittsburgh, shot because she didn't want to. She rejected the guy. Sharika Adams,
Hold on.
Ray
You said
Caruth,
Sharice Jackson. Oh
yeah,
gosh. Poor little Ray Carew.
Jessica,
I don't know why he hitting that car like that.
and
You
then
said
we
Jessica?
have Cassandra Perkins, 22-year-old girlfriend of NFL star Jovan Belcher, who fatally shot her and then shot himself after she refused to allow him to have full custody of their daughter. So dying. That's why the flyer that I made, it may seem like it's so far-fetched, but it's not.
It's
People
really not.
are really losing their lives. They are
I
losing
mean,
their lives over this, stay until you die situation with in these relationships that you really giving people permission with
no,
your
you're
word.
absolutely right. And there actually have been, now that I think about it, there have been two music videos about it that I can think of off the top of my head. One of them is Eve, Love is Blind. The other one is Babyface and Stevie Wonder, How Come How Long? And they're really talking about the same things. Women who are in these abusive relationships and like how much they're going to tolerate. Of course, Love is Blind, the woman who was in there, she dies. Um, can't really think of the Stevie Wonder one. Shout out to Stevie Wonder because he's a Taurus. That's it.
So the loyalty and the commitment is very misused. It's really misused, and it makes the woman feel like she is, I guess, bringing value to the relationship. So you're really giving permission that no matter what happens, hey, I'm gonna be here through infidelity. Look at Beyonce. Look how many times Jay-Z has cheated, and she's continually to take him back. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable because it's like, are we seeing any examples of a ride or die chick that positive on a positive term? Like he's trying to build something, he's trying to do something in the
I
community.
mean, yeah, yeah, but it's not really talked about because at one point in time, and I'm going to say it, it was Will and Jada until that whole closet got swung open and all the bats and skeletons came out. So now it was like, all right, so who we got? You got Ice Cube and his wife, Snoop Dogg, his wife. Um, what's the other boy name? Denzel Washington.
Snoop Dogg done cheated on his wife so many times. You could take Snoop Dogg on out of that.
I don't
LL
know.
Cool J
I've
been
never.
married a long time. Ice T and Coco been together for a long time too.
Yeah, and what's the other
But they
one?
not doing nothing crazy. They not, to me, the ride or die chick is a negative. It's a toxic relationship.
No,
He
but that would be the definition that they should be following. Samuel L. Jackson and his wife, especially Samuel L's wife, because she pulled him out of a dark place, and he's still doing good. He's still doing well. But that would, if the right guy had, a picture, it should be one of them. Clearly not Snoop Dogg because he done did something that I don't even know nothing about.
but this is the thing that women have to understand. The man would not do the same for you. Would he do the same for you? No. The ride or die chick is one sided. You're doing all the sacrificing, you doing all the dying. He's not going to do the same for you. If you cheat, he gone. He
Mm.
gone. Men don't stick around. They don't forgive that. They find out you cheated, if you even look like you cheated, if you had coffee with somebody 2 times in a row, they gone.
It's not funny. It's not funny, but it is because men and women cheat for different reasons. Not saying that that's an excuse, but when a woman cheats, she been gone anyway. Just unless that's just her mentality. So yeah, you did what? You had coffee. Coffee with who? You could have had coffee with me. Like what? I made you coffee before you left the house. You gonna have coffee again? You got 2 shots of caffeine? Yeah, no.
Gone.
So that's that
He's
man.
not going to. Will he do the same for you? He won't. He will not. And why is it that even if you're not dying a physical death, you're still dying? Your dignity is dying. Your self-worth is dying. Your dignity, your self-love, self-respect, you are dying. Your dreams are dying. Your motivation is dying. Your ambition is dying. Your future is dying. You keep having all these children by him. You're the only one having children by him. There's other people out there having children by him that you don't even know about. Every time you have a child, you digging yourself deeper. He knows he keep getting you pregnant. You ain't gonna have no future. Who gonna watch all those kids? You're not paying for daycare for no 5 children. So your future is dying. So even if you don't look at it as a physical death, you know, what's the hopelessness of a young girl, 22, 23 years old, and she got 3 children already? What kind of life is she really going to have?
I mean, she can still have life. It'll definitely be difficult because in today's society, when it comes down to dating, it's like some men have a number in their head. And if you got over that number as far as kids are concerned, it's like, wait, you got how many kids? Yeah, we're not gonna, because how you gonna have time for me when you got all these kids? It's like there's no patience with it.
And I didn't even put up the number of children that are being killed by the boyfriend that's not the father of the child. They're killing the children. You know, the woman is out working, the boyfriend is at home watching the children, the child that's not his, and mad because you're being disturbed because you're playing a game and the baby won't stop crying. So you decide to throw the baby up against the wall. So this is not just, this ride or die thing. This thing, it runs really deep. We got to throw that away. We cannot keep being girlfriends and acting like wives. You can't get wife privileges from me being a boyfriend. You just won't get wife privileges. Remember I said, not even a piece of toast. You don't need to be cooking for him and cleaning for him and sexing him up and doing all these wifely duties when you're just his girlfriend. And then you wonder why he won't put a ring on your finger. What is he going to put a ring on your finger for? For what?
Can't get no toast.
For?
No toast. That's not.
Yeah. I don't know if I put the shorts up on the website. We did a show and I said something and Dante was like, you need to put that on the shirt. I'm not even making you a piece of toast. If you're not my husband, you don't get husbandly privileges. Girlfriends need to stop acting like wives. That's all part of that ride or die. That's all part of auditioning to be a wife. Oh, I want him to know that I know how to cook. I'm good in bed. And I want him to know that I could do this and that and whatever. Really? That's all part of that ride or die thing. No. It's a no. Because you're dying. Your future, you have a purpose. It's something that you've been called to do. You haven't just been called here just to look cute. You've been called here to do a job. Mm-hmm. It's something that you're supposed to be doing on this earth.
Yep, gotta walk in your purpose.
And it's not it's not being a baby factory. That's not your purpose. Even though you have the ability to bring forth life, but that's not your full purpose.
It's not.
It was so beautiful to be in that shop and to see the whole family working in the business and everybody getting along. And the mother was just a beautiful spirit. She was just a beautiful spirit. She had a beautiful spirit. And you could see, and them men was around there working hard. They was around there
Yeah.
working hard, washing cars and it's just a beauty. And they've been around here. They've been around. The business been around for, like she said, over 20 years. Beautiful.
That's good.
Beautiful.
Not to mention they have something to fall back on. Like,
No, not only have they've created a legacy. And,
right.
and so they can leave generational wealth because their children know the business.
Uh-huh.
Most of the people that's entrepreneurs don't know nothing about business. They know about making money. It's a difference between making money and running a business. Totally different. So that's why a lot of people make money and then you don't see them no more.
Yeah, not to mention they ain't know what to do with it from jump anywhere.
So we have to really start redefining these words in a healthy way. And I know it sounds all cute in Bonnie and Clyde. Bonnie and Clyde got killed at the end. They got killed at the end. So they're not somebody you need to be looking up to.
No, but again, this generation is short-minded, and that's what they think, the goal is. It's just us against the world, and then until the world turn on you, because it is.
But that's false. That's false. That's a false narrative. It is not you against the world. That's a false.
There's a lot of false narratives walking around here.
That's a false narrative. It ain't no you against the world. You ain't even that important. Be quiet. Ain't no you against us against the world. Don't nobody even know you. Hush up. Like, what is this picture Dante got? Don't nobody even know you. Us against the world. Us against the world is the type of thing you say when you trying to build an empire or something. Like, go ahead. You trying to use that as an excuse to beat up your girlfriend. You're using that as an excuse, to be less than what it is that you were called to be. Like, that's not
I don't know what just happened.
That's not how that's supposed to go. That don't go like that.
No, it's definitely not supposed to go that way.
You and that little leprechaun thing came up, so let's just honor.
No, I don't. I'm not sure. Hold on, let me get my hashtags ready.
All right. Nova Henry, 24-year-old woman murdered by her lover and lawyer. He shot her and shot the 10-month-old daughter.
Damn.
She had a restraining order against him. Number one reason, misogyny. We are raising men that hate women because they're being raised without a father. And we're using all these excuses. There's no excuse to keep your child from their father. Now, and I understand because I've been there. I understand that some of these men can be very unreasonable and make it very difficult for you to co-parent with your child. I have been there and done that. I understand that some of these men have mental health issues. They have personality disorders, syndromes, won't go get a scrap of help, won't go talk to anybody. That's a whole nother show. See, when you come to this show, we're going to be talking truth. We're going to be talking cutting edge, raw. So if it triggers you, it's good. That means it's going to cause you to be able to look at yourself. And, because as a result, I was thinking about this over the weekend. Some things started to really come to the surface. And it's a result of me growing up in an environment surrounded by fear. Even though in certain areas of my life, I was fearless when it came to fighting people and stuff like that. I've never had a fear of people, but always a fear of something about to pop off. And it's made me overly cautious. It's made me cautious to the extreme. And I noticed that about myself over the last couple of days, that I'm dealing with some type of some type of fear that I don't really know like what it is. I don't even know how to really describe it, because when you're in that environment, when you grow up in that toxic environment, people shooting and killing and murdering and raping every single day, it's always something. It's always something. So it's like you have to be hypersensitive to your surroundings. Like you have to always be aware of what's going on around you, because you just don't know where the next thing is coming from. And I don't know what has kind of caused that to come to the surface,
That's just
in me. I think
PTSD coming up.
because it might be that because my daughter's getting older, she's becoming like more independent, and I am like I've always been overly protective of my children, because I've seen so many people be raped and molested and so many stories and stuff. So I've always been overly, like almost going to the extreme, to the extreme. It's almost like you just anticipate that something bad is going to happen because you're so used to something bad always happening. That has to be dealt with. And I noticed that about myself, like over the last couple of days, because I pray and ask God to show me, show me things within myself, because I can't go to the next level with this kind of stuff in me. And so I was like, man, I have some fears that I have to deal with. I have some fears that I don't even know like what they are. I don't even, because you have different types of fears. So I don't have like a fear of like people. I think I have just a fear of situations. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. You're always on guard, thinking thinking something gonna happen.
I've been there. I'm not there anymore, because it was just a mindset, and it almost brought on a sense of just paranoia. And it started to leak into other areas. Like you go outside, and it's like especially when I got to that car crash, it was like I don't want to drive no more, but I got to get to work, so I'm gonna get in this rental and I'm gonna go. But it's like you're 10 and 2 and checking mirrors and looking at everything. It's like it's that sense of paranoia that's trying to set in. I think the biggest thing that I had to go through was I didn't like anything good happening to me because something always bad happened right afterwards. It's like I'm happy one day, and then the next day I was like, not today. In fact, the happiness lasted for about 5 minutes. It's gonna last for 5 days.
Yeah.
Like,
and see, for me, it's because I grew up in that type of environment. And that's why this ride or die, you never know how these relationships are affecting your children on an emotional level, not just a physical level. It may seem like they're okay, but emotionally and mentally, what's really going on, in their mind, what's really going on. And I know that I'm getting ready to go to another level in my life because, this stuff is coming to the surface that I have to face. I have to face it and deal with it, because there's no way you could grow up around killing and shooting every day and murder every day and not be affected in some kind of way.
No, you definitely are. You
Yeah.
definitely are. Because even if you're desensitized from it, some way somehow, you're still affected because I grew up with A B C D, and it's like like you don't feel nothing at all. That's part of the reason why I don't watch the news as much. It's just traumatic. Ain't no happiness in the news.
I think my situation was like totally the opposite. I think every time I heard my mother be hit, I could feel the hit. I could feel the pain. So and it's like when you're dealing with people who have a lot of hurt and have a lot of pain, she would dump all of her pain onto me. That's why these ride or die chicks are very dangerous, because they carry all of the toxicity from that man, how that man treats them, and then they dump all of that onto their children. So she would dump all of that onto me. She would call me all kind of names, and it was like all the time. And it was like episodes that lasted for hours. Can you imagine somebody raging for hours? And it's not constructively. It's not like
No,
they're trying to help you.
especially when you think it's over. They go in another room, thinking some more stuff, and then come back out and then spew that on you too. It's like, is this ever gonna end?
And so it's like, what do you, as a child, you're not equipped. They're adults and can't handle their own pain and their own trauma and their own hurt. And they're dumping it on you, a child who's also not equipped. So being a child of a ride or die chick, who has her definition skewed and twisted and thinking that she's being loyal and committed to a man who's not loyal to her, to a man who's not committed to her, what effect is that having on your child? And if I didn't have the grandmother that I had, I probably would have been all messed up. I would have been totally messed up, because it was a lot of toxic, in that situation. And so these women, and you could feel, you could literally feel the hatred. I share about my mother and how her boyfriend stabbed her over 20 something times and within inches of her life, and she still took him back. And she had the opportunity to press charges against him, and she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't press charges against him. And even though he didn't, want anything else to do with the relationship, she still wanted him back. And I think that that's the level that we're dealing with in these relationships. It's chronic. The loneliness is chronic. The self-esteem, the killing of the self-esteem is chronic. Because, see, a lot of these girls that's talking about their divas and queens and all of that stuff is just a cover. That stuff is just a cover. You're just transferring and trying to find your self-esteem. Now you're trying to find your self-esteem in material things. That's still not dealing with it. It's a young lady now on television who is always flossing about her drip, but the girl is full of so much pain that it's obvious to me. I don't care nothing about what celebrities you meet. Because let me tell you something. It's a certain level. It's a certain level that you get to in this game called business that is pay for play. You can get any the celebrities are up for sale. Okay, let's be clear. Okay, the celebrities are up for sale. Once you get to a certain level, it's easy to pay a Rick Ross to come to your birthday party. You know what I'm saying? Or a Nicki Minaj or a Cardi B. It's pay for play. So to have a celebrity at your party that you paid for, what's impressive about that? It's pay for play. It's all for show. So and so was at my party. Okay, how much you had to pay? 1.2 million, depending on how big of a celebrity he is. Right. Soulja Boy might not cost that much. How much does it cost to pay for Nicki Minaj to come to your party? It's all pay for play. You got the money to pay for anybody. Because they already for sale. So they already got a price. They already have a price. If you want so-and-so to come to your party, this how much you got to pay, and they'll show up for 15 minutes, take some pictures. I never understood why people get so impressed about somebody in the picture with a celebrity that that took a minute. It ain't like this. Not like you know them. You just took a picture with them. You don't know them. So it all lends itself together and it all feeds into itself. So Nova Henry, Lena Johnson, she was brutally beaten to death and raped. And this was crazy. Her death was sadly ruled a suicide by the army, despite her body being found with a black eye, loose teeth, a broken nose, and burned genitals. How is that a suicide? What kind of suicide is that?
There ain't no suicide at all.
No, it's not. All of these are young girls. 27-year-old daughter and sister brutally stabbed to death by her ex-boyfriend when she allowed him to come to her apartment so he could return the engagement ring. Like, and the list goes on. 22 years old, 29 years old. Janice Jackson, 29, Pittsburgh woman, fatally shot by in a bar because you rejected the guy. So this is real, and this is not something that, you know, I'm finding a lot of these podcasts that are popping up. Like, a lot of the men are coming up with podcasts. You know, it's a lot of anger coming out. Like, these men
Yeah.
are really angry. They're very angry, and a lot of the stuff that they're saying, like the one guy, he was saying, y'all want us to marry you to validate you. First of all, you can't validate another human being. Marriage does not validate a woman. Where do y'all get this stuff from? Marriage don't validate me. So basically, again, we go back to the stigma that's attached to you when you're single. So he said, y'all want us to validate. Where does God come from? What are you talking about?
I mean, but they also, I feel as though they also need to dig into their past just a little bit. Not to expose them for anything, but where did you come? Like, did you propose and she rejected you? And now this is the thought process that you came up with? Like, who hurt you?
Because we're being raised, but the fathers are not in the homes, and the fathers are making all kind of excuses about why they're not in the homes. So it's just a continuous cycle. The woman is blaming the man's blaming the woman. Nobody is trying to get to the place of understanding. Nobody is listening to each other and coming to the conclusion that we communicate differently doesn't mean it's wrong. I have to see your way, you have to see my way. We can come to a place of understanding. We may not agree, but we understand. There's a lot of things I understand, but I don't agree with. But I understand, but I don't agree. So we have to get to that place, because what kind of children are we? I keep saying it. What kind of children are we raising? What kind of children are we raising and putting into society? We're raising.
These children are smart, but they're sensitive. They are sensitive.
And apparently they hate women. If you got mommy issues and daddy issues, you're not going to be good in relationships. You're not going to be good in relationships. Not a lot of things that I held on to on purpose, you know, growing up. How am I going to be mad at my mother because she spanked me, or she put me on punishment because I did something wrong, or whatever? I might have felt that it was unfair, but it's to make me a better person or to teach me consequences. And I'm going to hold on to that until I'm 44.
That's a whole nother show. But no, unfortunately, yeah, it gets held on to because they don't have an outlet themselves. It's like, most kids, after they get a whooping or punishment or whatever, there's no conversation about that afterwards. That's it.
I find that it's nothing to do in the community. Like, kids, like yesterday, we came in the house, they just was walking around. Like, when I was growing up, it was after school things. You could go to the boys club, the girls club. We had arcades everywhere. The arcade, you had games and stuff to play. Inside the little Chinese store, you go in there and get your little 10 chicken wings or whatever for $1. 10 what was it? 10 fish sticks. 10 fish sticks for $1.
What?
5 chicken wings. I'm telling my age. But they don't have outlet. They don't have anything. Like what? Like what? Right. So I want us to stop killing ourselves thinking that she laughed. Thinking that being a ride or die chick is a good thing to be. And I think that the reason that I really do this show is that every time I come on this show, I pray before I come on this show, And I said, God, I just want to, if I could just make impact and I just want to help one person, I'm gonna try to say this. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to say it without crying. But growing up as a little girl, as a teenager, and as a young woman, watching my mother be beat and beat and beat and beat, I was helpless to help her. I didn't know how to help her. The only way I knew how to help her was to not cause any problems for her. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to. I wanted to be the daughter that she could be proud of. I wanted to be the daughter that didn't cause her any pain. And so every time I think about these women, when I pray about what we're going to talk about, I think about these women. I think about every woman that I help. In some way, I'm helping my mother because I couldn't help her. And so I really want women to really get this. I really want them to get this. And I really want them to understand the impact that it has on a child. I could feel every hit, every punch, every kick, every smack, every time her eyes was black, every time her lips were out to here. I could feel every single thing that she went through. You think your children, they lived inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
They lived inside of you. You think that because they're on the other side of you, that they can't feel what you are going through? They feel it. I could feel it. And the only thing I could do was just fight for her. And I would fight her boyfriends for her. I would fight grown people as a teenager. I would fight them for her. And so I'm still fighting for my mother. But I'm fighting for her through you. Because I don't want you to go one day in your life thinking that it's okay to be a ride or die chick. You deserve better. You deserve way better. Close us out, Dante.
I can't follow up after that. What? You closed this out already. That was powerful enough. I just posted the link for the Man's Translation page on YouTube. So like, share, subscribe. Tell your mama now. We're on YouTube now.
See you guys.